Jai Jinendra. Welcome to Adults Class 2, Practical Applications of Jainism. Let's start with the Nokar mantra. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayaryanam, Namo Ujayanam, Namo Loe Sadasanam, Yeso Panchanamo Karo, Sabapavo Panasano, Mangalalancha Savesim, Paramam Have Mangalam. When was the last time you thought about your life? So chances are it's been a long time, right? And why is that?
You got a message on the screen.
Oh, thank you. Because it's hard. It's not easy. We're too busy. We are, in fact, you can know it's important and still not do it. Just like a lot of things you know are important and still don't do. You know it's important to eat right and exercise, and we don't do that. You know it's important to think about your medium-term goals and your long-term goals, and we don't do that. So now, and we don't do it because it's hard, right? It's hard to think about our life because we have to confront that our life isn't going the way we want it to go. And whose fault is that? Oh, it's only our fault. We can't blame anybody else, right? So today I'm giving you both a blessing and a curse. That is, I'm giving you the time to do what you may not have wanted to do, but what we need to do. That is, think about our life and the direction our life is going. So we're not doing anything else today but filling out this sheet. So that's the blessing and the curse I'm giving to you. I remember when I was a kid. It reminds me that I used to like thinking about things, and whenever I would go to bed, I would relive the good parts of my day that happened, and I looked forward to that. And that doesn't happen anymore, right? Nobody does that anymore. I used to like thinking about that and reliving it and experiencing it in my head and figuring out which way I was going. And that I've gotten away from that. And maybe I should get back to that. And this is one way to get back to that, is by taking the time out of your life and working on our personal, professional, spiritual, physical, mental, and family goals. So let's start off with this side of the sheet. And remember, our goals have to be SMART goals. They have to be specific, measurable, achievable, resourced, and time-bound. So our personal goal can't be, if we write down lose weight, it's not specific enough because it's not a certain amount of pounds. It's not measurable because it's not a certain amount of pounds. It may or may not be achievable. If we say lose 30 pounds in a month, well, that's not really achievable. It may or may not be resourced. Do you have the things necessary to lose weight? And you have to give yourself a particular time. And by ensuring our goals are SMART goals, we're assuring that we can make them. That is, by limiting our goals to things that are specific, measurable, achievable, resourced, and time-bound, we're increasing the probability that we do that. So one of our goals can't be more happy, because it's not measurable. Although it's a nice thing to say, it's not measurable. You have to say, well, what is the way that I can be more happy? Is it praying every day? That's measurable. I can measure whether I prayed every day or not. Thanks for everybody joining us online. If you want to find the chart we're using, you can find it at jainismforeveryone.com, and you click on the Documents tab, and you'll find our goal chart as well as our spiritual hygiene and regimen chart. So for a lot of you, this is not the first time you're filling this out. Does anybody have any success stories from the last time we filled this out? I'll also take fail stories too. And a lot of you may hate it. Some of you may want to leave the room right now. Like, I came to adults class too, not for this, not to do paperwork, you know. And maybe you're too nice to walk out. Sometimes some people log on and find out we're doing that and then just log off. Because they don't come here to do paperwork. But this is a eat your vegetables moment of adults class 2. Okay? That is, you have to do this. We're never going to stop doing this. So one day randomly you might come in. This guy, the last time he came in, we did this. So he came in this time and we're doing this. He did it twice in a row.
I'm seeing if I have my picture of my old one. Actually, but I don't think I can find it.
I certainly understand that feeling. One time I remember, I won't name names, but somebody came in and saw we were doing this and walked out. Because he knew what was in store. That is a whole lot of nothing. But it's only nothing if you make it nothing. It's only nothing if you deny the gift that I'm giving you.
How do you manage a goal that requires somebody else's cooperation?
It's a bad goal.
That's a bad goal.
It's not a great goal.
Okay.
And
So
I know
keep it
that
to
runs
yourself.
counter to, because we want to do family goals, right? One of the things is family goals. So that's
Yeah.
probably like we require participation from your family. But we try to avoid that.
So check off the bottom one.
Well-
or it's what you would want to do for your family kind of thing.
Right, maybe get your spouse on board, Get your spouse on board. That's the only other person you need. Get your kids on board. Those are the people you need. Oh, that's how you do it. I got it. I got an answer for you. Rather than telling you that it's a bad goal, you get their buy-in. And you get their, hey, I want to do this goal. Is this something you could do? Is this something we're interested in? Is this something we want to work towards? You get their buy-in. And then maybe they'll tweak it. Maybe you have to collaborate on the goal. It can't just be whatever you say, right? That's probably a better answer. I shouldn't have given you that first one. But you guys are lucky today. We have a short class because of language showcase, so we're out of here. We're not getting the full hour to do our goals. You're getting just about...
All the pasalas are cutting early?
Yeah. At 11:05 to 11:10 because the language showcase is in the main hall at 11:15.
Ah.
So you're either lucky or not lucky, depending on you.
Kids early.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to mention, you can't feel bad if nothing happened since the last time we did this. It's okay. Just write the same, if you have the same goals, just write the same goals down. There is a benefit, even if you don't work on it, even if you've never worked on it and you've done this 10 times already, there is a benefit to just writing them down, to just thinking about where you want to go. And that's one thing you can't do, is if you fail a goal, you can't feel bad about it, because that just gets in your way. And it's counterproductive to everything. You likely fail the first 10, 20 times you try something. But if you start a little small, and once you get rolling, then you kind of get practice at accomplishing goals. You kind of get the hang of it. You get the swing of things. And you know specifically what's achievable for you or not. You can be like, I'm never going to do that, because you have experience of the goals you can accomplish, right? And then they can start getting a little bigger and a little better. Thanks to everybody joining us online. We're just doing this for 40 minutes. We're thinking about our life. We're trying to live an examined life. If you want our SMART goals table and our spiritual hygiene and regimen toolbox, you can find them at jainismforeveryone.com and click on the Documents tab. Would anybody like to share a goal that they wrote down?
I'll share something. It's not what I wrote down, but just the history behind what we've been doing it for maybe this is over 10, 15 times we've been doing it, right? First few times it was very difficult to write down a single word on this paper. Personally, for me, I used to write it down something like I want to lose the weight. I want to lose the weight in 3 months. I want to lose this. Hardly it worked for me. So instead of doing that, we just say it's how we treat our mind. The monkey mind concept we use, and say, okay, just write it down 3 times a week. We go to gym. Right? 3 times a week you do yoga. 3 times a week you do this, that, and that starts picking it up more and more.
Right.
So it did work for me when I start breaking it down in that little actions rather than looking at the outcome, the results.
Right.
Then it is still an outcome I'm looking for, that I'm hitting 3 times a gym, but not measuring myself every day.
Right.
Because results are never instantaneous on these things. So based on that, I did go quite far on my personal goals for last 3 sessions.
You look great.
Yeah. I feel great. And one thing that helped me on was, like we also discussed, that was write down everything what we eat.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little bit tedious to do that exercise, but then I found something online, Nutrition IX. It's an app, it's a free app, and it has almost every Indian items on it as well.
Right.
That was another difficult part, right? When you did this dal or this dal, and how do you measure those things? But when we start writing those things down, you actually can start tracking your macros on a daily basis. And once you do that, it actually helps you watch out, in early morning, do you want more carb, less carb, X, Y, Z. So I know this may be some hard part for a lot of folks and myself too, but it does work.
Right.
Yeah, it does work, and that's what I just wanted to share. Like, put something that you just want to do and take care of that part without looking at the outcome.
I like that, because you could have a goal, I want to lose 10 pounds in 3 months. And that's all those things. That's specific, measurable, achievable, resource, and time bound. But it still didn't work for you. What did work for you is, go to the gym 3 times a week. And it's like the same goal, right? But just because you changed it, that made it more accomplishable for you. I like that. So if you're having trouble, just reword the goal into something that maybe you can do. It seems like a great hack, just refocus on something that you can do that achieves that goal, right? And make that your new goal. And that way, maybe there's not that much pressure, or maybe you're more likely to accomplish it, or things like that. I really like that.
And the other part was, we always say that when you pay for something, you feel like doing it like, what do you call it? Pesa vasool, right?
Yeah.
You want to make sure you do that, right? So there's a free session available versus paid session.
Right.
We start with the paid session. We never do it.
Yeah.
We do it as a family. So we did it about, I think, 4 months. We did it as a family goal. Paid session with personal trainer. And then after that, it's a first sign up. You need it for 4 months. But after that, you get the rhythm. You get all the input they are going to be providing you, and you just build on based on that. So pay for it.
Yeah.
Free thing doesn't work for my family.
Yeah. That's a brain hack to get your money's worth.
Yeah.
Would anybody else like to share a goal that they wrote down? And there's not that much room, right? I only gave you 2 slots for each, and that's on purpose. If you fill this up, you're not going to accomplish all of them. If you fill maybe 1 or 2 of them, you will accomplish them. Come on in. Today I'm giving you a gift and a curse. We have to think about the way your life is going.
I have a question. Some examples of mental goals?
Sure. Can anybody help Chintan? Mental goals that aren't spiritual goals.
Yes.
Like to meditate, is that a spiritual thing, or is that a mental thing?
How about reading? No, I think meditation is a great one, because maybe it's not necessarily about spirituality for you, for meditation. I like reading as a mental goal.
I think a mental goal is like always, for me, it's always attached to something that de-stresses. So
Right.
it could even be like, I don't know, go play table tennis or like some other or go to gym like because it mentally helps you think about something. I don't know. I don't know if that's right or wrong.
No, that's a great example. Remember, we know a lot about physical hygiene. We know a lot about taking care of our bodies. It's all very scientific. But we don't know a lot about mental hygiene. Nobody teaches us how to take care of our mind, what to do when we're stressed, how to relieve that. Because some people think, oh, it's different for everybody, and we only address it when something's wrong, like, for example, at school with our children. You preemptively teach them physical hygiene. You don't just teach them physical hygiene when something's wrong. But why do we only teach kids mental hygiene when something's wrong? Why do we not teach them preventative care, preventative mental care? Why only after something goes wrong or they're stressed out or, they have some condition do we address their mental hygiene? So mental hygiene is how to take care of your mind, how to avoid negative self-talk, how to de-stress, which is what made me think of this when you said that, how to make sure you're not too stressed in your day-to-day life. These are all mental hygienes, and I think they would fall under mental goals. All right, we have a short class today, so let's take a look at the back. Our spiritual hygiene toolbox and regimen. So just like we don't have any mental hygiene resources, we have less than 0 spiritual hygiene resources, right? And that's what this is designed to address. There's nobody tells you, hey, this is what you do spiritually. This is how you progress. You'll never get any of that. You never talk about that at the water cooler. You never talk about that with your Jane friends. You never talk about that at any time, right? That is, how do you take care of yourself spiritually? Well, this is how you do it. And how it works is you take one item from the toolbox at the top and you slot it into these bullet points at the bottom. But you have to make sure you're very mindful about where you slot it in. For example, you could slot prayer in to daily, right? But you can't slot fasting into daily. Right? So you got to be careful because you're going to trip yourself up if you pick the wrong one. You have to be very careful about what you do daily, what you do weekly, what you do monthly, and what you do yearly. And the blanks at the bottom are there to remind you that this is not the only things that you can do. You can write in things you can do to take care of yourself spiritually. Does anybody prefer this to the goal sheet?
I think this is easier because you have it's like fill from the top rather than
Right.
make the other one up.
Oh, so maybe we should have like some example goals for this side, like just
Yeah.
you can have it at the top and maybe fill it at the bottom.
Yeah, I think
Common ones. We always talk about losing weight. We always talk about exercising. We always talk about meditating. We always talk about all that stuff, right? So maybe if we put some examples here at the top.
Well, scheduling is sometimes easier too. Just like, I want to do fasting extra day a month. So let's put a day on it. Whereas if you on the other one, you just have like by end of year.
Right.
So that's gonna not happen.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are task oriented,
Mm-hmm.
and so we look at things like in a bullet point, checklist, whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe just mentally wise, it helps me think about it. What's physical hardship?
Physical hardship is the Jain definition of yoga. That is purposefully putting yourself into discomforting positions or purposefully going through pain to remind yourself of several things. One, that the body is different from the soul. Two, that the bodily pain is transitory because you travel through the cycle of life and death and you go through different bodies, and pain, like all other things, are transitory. That's what physical discomfort means. It's not the yoga that you go to yoga class to do. It's the yoga with the nails and the boards and the stuff.
I think one of the simple examples I can think of is at least weekly here, sitting down and eating rather than sitting on table and chair
Right.
to the extent possible, or when you're sitting down, not try to get a back support versus just sit without a back support and
Right.
feel the pain or
And it could even be taking the stairs at work.
true. That's a good example.
A lot of people like to do that.
Is charity money, or is it time, or like?
It's all of those.
Okay.
Yeah, it's money, time, it's acts of service. It's not easy to think about your life. Okay, we don't do it that often.
10:51 a.m.
Maybe we should do it more. Maybe we should do things that are hard more. Usually we think about our life when you change jobs or when something major happens, right? Then you think about the direction your life is going. Otherwise, it's easier to let things happen to you. And that's what this is designed to prevent. I know some of you may be thinking, oh, these goals are easy. You know, I can do them at any time. Well, when was the last time you accomplished a goal that you set out to? It's not that easy. Once you start to do that, you start to realize who your true master is. So if I have a goal of, I want to participate in NaNoWriMo, right? National Novel Writing Month. So every day in the month of November, I'm going to write for 30 minutes, right? Well, all of a sudden, it bothers me that I have to spend my time to take out the trash. Or I have to spend my time to do these other things. Or I have to spend my time to cater to these people, or that people, or this other thing. It's only when you try to take your time for yourself do you realize how much you're serving the interests of other people. And it's only once you start accomplishing goals do you realize how hard it is to accomplish even the smallest tasks.
Like the food for every Sunday when we were helping, I couldn't believe how much work had to be done, and they do it every Sunday.
Right, right. Does anybody have any spiritual hygiene and toolbox regimen they'd like to share with us about something that they want to do?
Every time I do this, I put the tech-free day on my list of things to do.
Yearly or?
No.
Oh, okay.
Put
Monthly?
it monthly. Pick a Sunday each month, but
Oh, that's great.
I haven't done it a single time.
Oh, yeah. That's okay.
So-
That's okay.
Maybe start with like a couple
Yeah,
hours,
tech
tech
free
free.
5 hours.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Ooh.
Not the night.
That'll get
And
you
not when
there.
you're sleeping.
While you're awake.
5 hours.
Cheating 8.
5 hours before bed. No tech.
You know, we recently went to a restaurant and they brought a basket. They're like, if you guys want to have a proper dinner, you can put your phones in here and we'll put the phones away. I thought that was interesting that, you know, that they were willing to save your phone for you, right? It's like kind of
Yes.
going to a comedy show and they give you that
Yeah.
pouch and like, you know, whatever, right? You know, that doesn't count for this text.
I understand, yeah. Well, one of my cousins had a family gathering, so there was like, 40, 50 of us at these family gatherings, and they forced everyone to put their phone in a basket in the front. And for the next 4 hours of that gathering, nobody had a phone except for one person to take pictures. And it totally changed the dynamic. It was for the gathering. Especially with the kids, right? They're not looking at their phones at each other, so they're actually sitting and chatting with each other.
Was it a positive outcome for the
Yes.
kids? I'm curious about the teenagers.
Everybody said they loved it at the end. Everybody said. Maybe somebody didn't, but almost everybody said they loved it.
And that's a great point. You brought up two great points. Everybody can know what is right, but still not do it, right? Because of the way we are. because we found some kind of local minimum in our life, and even though we all know we can each sacrifice a little and be better, we don't do it. And another great point is, well, how can we translate this to our kids? That is, can we just tell our kids, hey, fill out this table? Will that work for you? Hey, fill out this table. Take a picture of it.
So I think like it's like going to the gym. Like if you don't have like someone accountable with you or an accountability partner. I mean, they're in this class. There's a lot of spouses in here. Like you share this list with them. Like you can't go on tech day and not tell your wife, and then she's texting you, and then all of a sudden you show up and she's like, right, like, hey, you don't even call me back. You don't answer your phone. You know, it's like, you know. So like I think you need support from exterior as well to be successful in trying to do something.
Yeah, and
I know Jainism is about you. I got that, but you know, it affects everyone else. I think, right?
Right. And accountability is something we give to our kids in small doses, right? Babies aren't accountable for anything. Little kids are accountable for what? Maybe just eating their dinner, right? That's it. And so we kind of feed them responsibility and accountability together as we think it's appropriate. And maybe this is a good way to do it. Maybe this is a good way to see where your kids are at as far as responsibility and accountability. Because remember, like I said, it's something they want to do. So let's see if they can commit to something they want to do, right? Of course, it's going to be very hard. You know, they could want to play the piano, but they won't commit to 30 minutes of practice every day. You know, it's easy to want things, but it's hard to do things. But this is a good way to measure maybe where your kid's at in terms of accountability and commitment and sacrificing their free time to achieve something they want. You know, going through short-term pain to achieve long-term success. That's like the definition of what it takes to be successful, right? Is how much short-term pain you're willing to take on. Well, this excruciating exercise is almost over. You just have 10 minutes more to think about your life, and then you can go outside these walls and we'll enjoy the language showcase, and you'll forget this ever happened, and this piece of paper will be the only reminder, and you'll find it in your pocket at the end of the day, and that's the person that I want to talk to. I don't want to talk to you now because you're all in front of me now. I want to talk to the person that at the end of the day that finds this paper. What are you going to do with this paper? This guy didn't write anything down on this piece of paper. What are you going to do with the paper when you find it in your pocket at the end of the day? That's what I want to know. That's okay. I'm just... I don't know whether you wrote anything down or not, but I was just making a point. That is, you're going to take this paper out and you're going to be like, oh yeah, we didn't do anything this morning. That sucked. I liked that other class better. But no, we're going to keep doing this, unfortunately, and you never know when it's going to be. You could walk in randomly and then it'll be paperwork day. Dimmer wants me to do this paperwork again. But it's a gift. I swear it's a gift I'm giving you to think about your life. I swear it. And if maybe you don't think so, but maybe you think it's more of the curse side. But I never promised it would be easy. I only promised you the truth.
So you gave an example of the kids and having them fill it out, but what if they have this resistance, like they don't want to do anything? Everything I ask them, they're like, no.
Right.
Like, how do you overcome that hump?
So they want to do something. You ask them what they want to do. They want to do a lot of things. I want to watch more TV. Well, how do we get to where we watch more TV in your life? Well, How about we do your homework after school? Then you can watch more TV in your life. You know, they want to do something. I want to hang out with my friends more. Well, how do we get you to hang out with your friends more? Well, maybe we can work on a project with your friends together. Maybe that's how we get to hang out with your friends more. So maybe try to approach it like that. You know, and it doesn't have, you know, because a kid will look at this and be like, professional goals, spiritual goals. How about fun goals? You know, right? Fun goals. And then it'll be like, yeah, fun goals. This is what I want to do. Maybe I want to have a say in the next vacation we take. Oh, you want to have a say? Well, where do you want to go? What's your fun goal? You know? And then how do we get there? So they want to do something. So let's ask them what they want to do.
I think they know next question will be how can I help in chores then?
Right, because we condition everything on something else, right? But make that condition be something relevant. Like, oh, you want more time. How do we make more time? You can never have time unless you take time.
I like the mental goal of reading more books.
Right, reading more.
I've bought like 6 books in the last 10 years and read 1/3 of all 6 of them.
Do you have trouble starting or trouble finishing or both?
Finishing.
Finishing.
Right.
Yeah.
Because starting means, I heard a good book about something. And
you bought it.
You bought it and it's on the bookshelf and has a bookmark. And
So
have you tried an audiobook?
I used to go through audiobooks when I had a long commute.
Yeah.
And then I'd have no commute because I work predominantly from home now. And so I went from, a book a week to 0. But I don't think I have like a place to have audiobooks without having a commute. Like, it's not like I just put on my earphones and
right.
A lot of
Do the
people
dishes or something. Yeah.
walking, as they walk, they it's.
I haven't been able to figure out a place where,
And this might be just asking the same question again of why you can't finish, but why is it that you're stopping? Because you're not interested? It's not keeping your attention? Or another book is calling you and you start another one before you finish the first one?
to be honest, I think it's the having news and stuff on my phone.
Right.
So the times that I used to read before pre-phones was at night, before going to sleep or on a vacation, and then now there's like so many other distractions in those times.
Right.
I'll take a book on a vacation and read like 5 pages and not be able to do it. Yeah.
So what you need is a reminder so what you can do is you have screens on your phone, right? You can swipe pages, right? So clear all the icons out of the first screen except for one that reminds you that you have a book to read. So that way you have to swipe to get to, if let's say it's just Facebook or whatever, right? Well, you have to swipe away from that to get to whatever you're doing on the phone. And then it will be a physical reminder that, I have a book to read.
Join a book club. Join a book club. You're forced to do that. I saw
I signed up for those a couple of times and then I dropped out right before the meeting because I only read, a third of this book.
I think it comes down to the willpower.
I'm gonna go. I'll do the tech-free day and the reading the book are combined because that half a day.
Perfect. I love
that.
that.
Half a day that I'm not going to be sitting on a tech. I'm just going to be sitting with a book on my chair.
There is an app. I think it's not for Android but Apple that delays any app start by 6 seconds.
I like that. Yeah.
So, and you can call out those different apps and say, whenever I try to click on this, let's say news app, it gives you 6 seconds reminder. Are you sure you want to open this? And you can actually, if it reminds you, you may reduce that use. There is an app. I need to find which app was it.
That's almost as good as the undo send text button.
Oh, yeah.
I love that button. I always undo send text.
Yeah.
Do I really need to send this? No. Cancel. Cancel. Right, and so that's one thing. If the phone is distracting you, you could keep the book on your nightstand. That's another thing. So you see it all the time, or put the book someplace you see it. Like if you work from home and you're at your desk, and then that's the time you use the phone. Then put the book on the desk at work at your home station. That might be another trick to remind you that it's there. See how long it is when you just have to think about your life? It's been 1 minute. Remember how long a minute is. Remember how much you can get done in a minute when you slow down. Well, you only have 5 more minutes, but I guarantee it'll be the longest 5 minutes of your day.
Stand-up comedian, bachelor teacher.
Maybe we'll get lucky and some of the kids will come in. Save us from these 5 minutes of thinking about our own life.
I want to ask you something. You come up with such a great topics and different things. How are you keeping up with that every week? Every week.
So, as you know, I have a long commute. And so one of the things I do on the commute is I think about what to talk about each week.
Okay.
And then, so then I think about that, and then I think about examples, and then I do the research. I open the book, and I put everything together in like a Word document. And then somehow, by some miracle, on Sunday, I print out the Word document, and I come in and I tell.
And he comes in early, so he gets some quiet time in the morning. At least 30 minutes early, maybe more.
Yeah, that's when I write down like the segues and the stuff to say at the beginning, and you always see like notes at the top, and that's when I write that stuff down to try to tie it all together for you guys. Well, that took up 1 minute.
So do you find the summer is like some relief? You're like, I don't have to prepare for Sunday now.
I do, yeah, I do. I do other things. I do like the song stuff and the reading stuff, and so I switch to that. And then when it's time for Patsal, then I come back to the discussions for the. If you didn't know, if you go to jainismforeveryone.com, which is the website for our class, you'll see like there's a songs tab and there's a readings tab, and mostly it's just all discussions, but there's some other stuff, and I work on that during the summer.
What do you mean songs?
So you can hear my lovely voice singing the Jain Stutis for you online if you click on the songs tab.
What's that website again?
Jainism for everyone.
Yeah, I did not know.
Sometimes I think 1 or 2 are my mom's.
But they're not original songs. You're singing Saint
Singing
James.
Jain songs, yeah.
Okay.
You know, the problem is, in the book, there are all the stutis there, but you don't know the melody or anything like that. That's
Right.
a big problem.
Or their pronunciations.
Right.
Yes.
Like
Right.
Yeah.
phonetics is
Complex.
Okay.
is
Right.
complex.
Yeah.
So you need to hear
You need to
somebody
hear it,
sing
yeah.
it.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't heard you. I've heard your mom on it, but like, I actually showed it to someone else last week for something. You know, they were like, "Hey, I don't live near there." I sort of like, I was like, "Hey, this is a good site for if you wanted to do that." What's your plan, Tim? And like, do you plan on doing this for a while?
Indefinitely, we're on our 130th episode. So indefinitely, that's the plan. Here comes Arya. So the challenges for Arya is to recognize that her soul is the same age as your soul. Just her soul is the same as your soul, just wrapped in a different body, wrapped in a different package. If you can't do that, then you certainly don't believe a dog or an insect has a soul. If you can't see that Arya has a soul the same as you, right? So
You dressed up for practice? It's really nice, yeah. This class should do the My Regenti program.
what should we do?
Not a dance, but maybe like a play or a skit. Yeah, or
then you're in charge.
You volunteer.
If you come up with the idea, you always volunteer to be in charge.
Yearly goal.
You can read through it. March 30th is the program.
Well,
a yearly
just
from
like-
today, so you
Yeah.
guys
Nick made the mistake of saying, "Hey, when are we doing lunch this year?" And I said, "Well, you're in charge." That's always the answer because I don't have time to do it. So if you want to do it, then you're in charge, and I will happily devote
So
any
you
resources we
sing.
have.
Presumably your voice is pretty good. Anybody else sing?
We could do a choir. Do you want
Anybody
to
else
do
have a nice
choir?
voice? A singer's voice.
I can get background music.
Loud.
I can sing and you can dance.
I don't know about that.
Your mom can sing?
No, I dance.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time this week. I really appreciate that. And let me know what you do with this piece of paper when you get home at the end of the day.